Lemon Amiga presents a playguide video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome to another Lemon Amiga game guide review. This time we're taking a look at the Mitchell Brothers game Pang, released on the Amiga in 1990, being a direct conversion of Pumping World in Japan, also known as Buster Brothers in the US market. Pang was definitely the European name. So the aim of Pang then is to simply burst these balloons, using your custom harpoon weapon. You can pick up extra weapons during the game to make this a little easier, including the dynamite, which you might notice I picked up there. So comparing this to the arcade version then, you might notice the graphics are more or less ported very faithfully from the arcade. Maybe the bubbles of the arcade are slightly better defined, but in general the Amiga version has very good music. Graphics, background graphics are more or less the same, except for in the Amiga version you don't get the moons in the graphics for some reason. All the moons are taken out, but apart from that, playability remains more or less the same. Maybe the arcade version, the character walks a little more lightly on his feet, but apart from that, pretty faithful. So as you can see from this playthrough guide, I'm competing head-to-head on both the Amiga and the arcade version. I've just completed the arcade version of that level. And meanwhile, back on the Amiga version, the crab has made sure that I can get through this level by destroying a few of those bubbles. And they shrink in size until you have none left. On this screen, the player gets to obtain a bonus life by destroying all 5 blocks. And comparing this again to the arcade original, apart from the background colour and the sun there, it's more or less an arcade perfect conversion really. And I've just managed to get the life on the Amiga version by destroying the last of those blocks. Struggling to get there on the arcade, there it is. So I think it's quite a good conversion, all things considered. It could certainly have been a lot worse. If you press fire button, whiz on to the next section. You might notice I picked up a clock there, which freezes all the bubbles on the screen, which means I can hastily get around there and remove them. Obviously the player will obtain a nice bonus if the player manages to remove the bubbles in a nice quick time. The quicker the better, and also if they destroy any bonuses, any of these animals as well, they will get extra score. Pick up any of those fruits which drop down as well, and it's always worth getting rid of those animals as well because they do block your gun. And around the world, this is the Emerald Temple in Asia, and on some levels the player can simply stand in one place, fire in the same direction, and not really move from there. This is one of those instances where you can just stand there and destroy those. I inadvertently ran into an enemy there which froze my grappling hook weapon for about 4 seconds, which isn't always helpful. And there really is a route to successfully depleting these levels. Once you know the correct route, then removing the items on the screen isn't particularly hard. It's just memorising that route in the first place, and to get a good score. Sometimes you might be put off by the collectibles like the dynamite there, which I'm avoiding, otherwise it'll blow everything else up on screen, which makes life a little bit harder. You might get more score by blowing that dynamite up, but on levels like this you really do not need that. And a crab jumps down there just to help us pop some of those bubbles. Sometimes the enemies can be friendly, sometimes there can be enemies who make life more difficult, but the crab's more or less harmless. Let's just destroy that for a little bit of score, and remain in the same position to remove the last few. Angkor Wat makes for a difficult level, and again, you really do need to know or have a strategy in place to begin with, to remove those things. I like to divide the screen, having one set of bulbs mainly to the right, and that leaves me space on the left, and I can also duck underneath those things as well. And I've picked up a laser inadvertently, which more or less means this is game over. I'm going to struggle bravely with this laser to see how far I can get, but to be honest, it's just not as easy with the lasers. So let's try that level again, and this time using the correct formula, and let's see if we can retain that grappling hook to the end. You can shoot those bonuses out of the sky as well if you want to do that. That might save you precious seconds, but again, it's better to avoid dynamite where possible, and the laser gun as well. So divide the screen again, keep the ones to the left this time, and as they come over from the left to the right, pick them off. Climbing the ladders might be a little difficult, so you have to be on your toes for that, and eventually we get through that level. On sections like this where there are many blocks to remove, you might automatically think that there is something hidden within there to pick up, and there is. So while we're waiting for that gun to disappear, because we can't destroy blocks with the gun, we can only destroy the blocks with the grappling hook, or the double fired power hook, or this, which is the permanent grappling hook, which stays on screen permanently until something wanders in there. But we can't destroy any of those bonus blocks with the laser, so that's yet another disadvantage of picking up the laser gun. And on this screen's full of blocks, so on this level we get to pick up an extra life. You have to make sure you're standing directly underneath those to get a good purchase, and obviously doing it as quickly as possible. And let's just remove the second of those bubbles, and there's a gun. I don't want to remove that, so let's concentrate on the blocks, get the extra life there, which puts me up to 6, and that should mean, just like level 1 now, the screen is clear for me to take my time removing the big one. Timing is definitely important in this game, knowing when to run underneath bubbles and when to attack them, knowing when to wait for them to bounce back. If you run in the same direction the bubbles are travelling, then that can mean disaster. On this level it's important to remove all the blocks and pick up the grappling hook weapon if you can. Let's try that again. It really is important to remove those blocks straight away. Let's see if we can get that grappler. No, we can't get there, but we've still got the normal harpoon weapon that we can use in the meantime, and that gives us precious few seconds to remove those blocks. If we remove the last one, we get a shield, and that basically writes our ticket to complete the end of that level. Even though I've just used it up, that means we can spend our time removing the final block. Another hard stage, and another one which requires a strategy. On this one you find the laser gun there, which you don't want to pick up really, so we'll wait for that to disappear, but we end up running into an animal which blocks our weapon, which leaves us defenceless. So let's try that again. This time using a slightly different method, which means the laser gun this time falls onto the platform. We can climb those ladders and fire on those ladders at the same time, which means we can climb halfway up there and destroy those, which is handy, and choose our time to drop down. Yet another enemy makes sure that I'm jammed for a couple of seconds, and a very annoying jamming noise. It can be sometimes helpful to keep pressing the fire button there, just so that the player knows when that jamming has worn off. And finally you reach a stage where the enemies stop coming, hopefully, or become less numerous, and you can pick off the last few. The time limit on these levels is pretty lenient, particularly on these early levels. You really have to make a lot of mistakes, or to take your time to run out of time on these levels. The bonuses you can see I picked up there, whatever that was, green beans. The bonuses start off very, very small indeed. It's not worth picking those up at all. And you might notice an hour timer there. Pick that up for a little extra precious few seconds. But the bonuses start off small and only amount to a hill of beans once you get through to perhaps America or Africa, and then it really is worth picking those up to acquire a top score on this game. There are 50 levels in Pang, spread over 17 locations, and the maximum score is about 2.2 million. My personal best is about 2 million, but you really have to make sure you get through all the levels as quickly as possible, including this. On this level, you have to duck under everything, keep everything to the right as much as possible, duck under everything, get the shield, and then keep everything to the left, pick them off as they come, lay into those balls, one after another, be brave, get in there, smash them up, and hopefully you've got enough time and enough manoeuvrability to get in there and clean the last few up. That can be a difficult level for the novice as well. And if at first you don't succeed, the double shoot, which I put up there, makes life a hell of a lot easier, and it's knowing when to pick up those special hourglasses as well to freeze everything on screen. So as I say, the highest score you can possibly attain is around about 2.2 million, and at this stage I'm on 300,000, so that means there's quite a lot of road to go before I get there. As I say, the big bucks don't really show up until America, and the big bonuses, and then the points really do come thick and fast. And if you save all your lives as well to America, towards America or South America, or even the final world is the Antarctic, if you save all your lives, die, and then collect all those bonuses, you'll find your score rockets up over the last few levels. If you die on these early levels, like you might notice I have quite a few times already, then that significantly lowers your chances of a good score, because basically you'll be fighting to get those extra levels. You'll get an extra life every certain number of checkpoints. I think it's 250,000, 500,000, a million, and you'll get extra lives periodically. In the meantime, you have to battle your way across. This is Moscow now, and for the first time it introduces the player to snow, which the player slides their way across with inertia. Not quite as bad as the arcade version, but still inertia nonetheless. I took my time to not get the dynamite there, which makes this level impossible, and just pick up the next smallest ball, the next smallest, under the big ones, pick up the next smallest ball, and so on. So tactics might be similar on these levels, but patience again. When the time ticks down, it's important not to panic and run under those things prematurely. Sometimes it's best to defeat those enemies just to wipe those off screen, and that should ultimately lead you with a clear screen, enemy free, to get rid of the last one. The ice continues in Moscow. So easy to die. There is inertia. Let's try that again. Oh no, two sets of dynamite. Do I really want to pick those up? Well, it's backing me into a corner. I'm really going to have to do that. And lucky there to get that one. You can be extremely lucky playing Pang, as well as extremely unlucky. I've been extremely frustrated playing this game at some point. So look at that, as a spaceman, he'll give me a lot of bonus. Let's get rid of him. 10,000 points, that's certainly worth it. So I have been extremely frustrated with the collision detection, as well as pleasantly surprised. You never know, it can be lenient, and like that you can just time it perfect. Other times it'll wipe you out. In this section you definitely need to watch the collision detection with that bubble bouncing at the beginning, and if you get a nice clock, even if you pick up the dynamite, you can lay into those things, get rid of the majority before it starts again, and divide the screen, divide and rule, and that means the last few should be easy. On now to Europe, Paris, and 3 balls. Again, select the easiest first, lay into it and avoid those things. The other 2 will bounce happily in that top corner until you need those. You just have to make sure that you don't get stuck like I almost did. Sometimes it's good to press the fire wildly in case you manage to destroy something inadvertently, which saves a life. The lives are definitely the most important aspect of the game. The score is pathetic. My lives are also pathetic. So let's cling on desperately to those and see how far we can make it. This definitely isn't a championship scoring run. Well, let's see. Those permanent grappling hooks there definitely make life easier if you can wedge those under a platform or even leave those hanging around there. And similar kind of thing. So you might think at this point that Pang gets a bit repetitive. On the contrary, the player is largely thankful for getting this far, if they get this far in the game, and so every extra screen is a bonus. Every bonus collected is a super bonus, especially once you get this far, so it's certainly worth doing it. And on this one, you could go for the easy option first, which I will do to show you the wrong way of doing it. Get rid of the smaller ball there, but the big one makes life impossible. You can't really destroy that. So the way to do this level is to destroy the furthest ball first, pick that down to its smallest components, like this, and then when the ball does come back along the bottom to bounce around, it isn't the largest ball, it's the smaller of the 2, and that makes life just a bit easier, or at least just enough to pick those off. So go for the smallest large ball first. That's the tactic. Just remove those. On now to England and London, and you might think that there's a bonus hidden between these 8 blocks as well, but because the ball is bouncing around wildly, sometimes you can get away with it there, sometimes you can't, like that. I picked up the bonus, which is a whopping 24,000 points, but I died, so that didn't help. Let's try again. Oh, stuck in a corner there, really lucky to get out of there. Fire and forget, that's what I say. Pick up that extra bonus again by getting double bonus. At least that's a thing. Try and aim for those things, and I think the crab's going to take it out. No, it isn't. Let's try and get that bonus, whatever it is. I don't think I'm going to make it, to be honest. Not lined up correctly. And a grappler. There it goes. On this one, you have to remove the bottom sets of blocks. It doesn't really matter what you kill. I've been unlucky enough to get the laser there, and it would have been a good idea to remove the small one with the laser, but I didn't have time. So let's just hope by removing the big one somehow, which is probably going to be easier firing from the steps. There's a kind of a retreat I've picked up the grappler, so that's good. I can now remove the rest of the level. And I've still plenty of time to do that, even though the time will tick down towards the end. I can leave that there. The crab will destroy the smaller ones, the other enemies. So that I can just destroy those, and then take on this one. This is probably the hardest London level. And again, if you can take on the smaller one to the left and divide and rule, when these ones come to attack, you can then lay into them. It's a little bit of a mistake there, but they do bounce back to give you that bit of space to manoeuvre. And be brave and climb that ladder. Try not to get into the space below the ladder, because you can't climb out of there unless you do climb the ladder. So I have been known to be trapped in that space on occasion. It's far easier to stay in one place and let the animal come to you. So let's do that, and then for the final one we can go over and take it out. Now we're on to Barcelona. Barcelona is quite an easy level, if I have to say myself. Probably an extra life somewhere near on the cards if I can only just get it. So take all those ones out from below. And there was a version of the Amiga version released without animals, which was kind of a pre-crack, and I do have that version as well. The highest you can attain on that one is somewhere around 800,000 for the highest high score. So the animals and the bonuses do make it possible to get a higher score if you do get the completed version. The one without animals is easier, but I think after playing this in the competition, I do prefer the one with animals now. And again, tactics must be observed on levels like this. Knock them down as quickly as possible, and then be brave. Tap out those two, and that gives you all the time in the world to remove the last one. Sometimes there's a spaceman there as well. Oh, there he is on this level. He comes at random, you never know. So, always a good idea to take him out. The levels still clinging on to that last life. The level's still moderately hard. You still have plenty of time. I mean, 90 seconds is a long time, and if you pick up that timer there to destroy a few, you can then sneak off to the right, get that bonus, and then just pick them down as they come. So patience is another key to this game. Not to be too gung-ho. Don't head out there all guns blazing and expect to live. You have to make use of the animals as well, and know when to hang back. This is Athens. So this level is difficult because you must pick up the items as they drop, because if they fall in between those stones, you can't pick them up. The hourglass there and the shield, I can't pick those up. So it's getting pretty busy, but the escape route is to climb the ladder whenever I like. So let's try and brave it and get that bonus. I'm not going to make it, am I? That alien's managed to... That parrot's managed to remove my gun, and another spaceman. Let's try and get it. Fire there. Oh, I was just too late. Well, you can't win them all. And at this stage, I can pick them off. Thanks, bird, for killing another one. Go away. Another nice easy one again if you manage to pick up the timer, or the double grappler helps. Get rid of that. Lay into this one. Bang, 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 bang. And then you've got plenty of time to remove the others. Don't forget the bonus. The bonus is definitely worth getting, and to get the bonus you have to remove those. 39,000. And does that make a difference if I collect the dynamite? No. Only makes a difference if that dynamite actually blows up anything. So this is just about it. This is the last level I will show you on this playthrough guide. We've just about covered everything. The sound effects are comparable. In fact, the music is very well done on this Amiga version. The playability is very well done. The graphics, everything. So not quite arcade perfect, sometimes the patterns are slightly different, but well worth a play every now and again. It can be difficult and infuriating, and it can be highly entertaining and rewarding, so I definitely give that a 9.5 out of 10 for the Amiga version. And you get to save your high scores as well with Puff the Magic Dragon. So thank you for viewing the Amiga version of the Mitchell Brothers Corporation version of Pang. Thank you.